Good. I think we're good now. Hi everyone. So we have our December edition of Chippy Chicks tonight. I'm going to be hosting. I am here with Fortune, Stacy, Kelly, and Melanie, and we're going to talk about hockey and trades and all the wild things that are happening. So I wanted to talk about women's hockey first because I saw an interesting opinion from Ian Kennedy about how, and I'd seen some people talking about this. Um, the league like seemingly just started putting their games on Twitch instead of their other platforms, and there wasn't really good communication from the league about this, and it's unclear why they're doing this. Um, and I think they had touted that their YouTube was like as a boasting point last season, and I think that's where a lot of people were watching them. Um, I know the old league used Switch a lot, so I have like kind of mixed feelings on this because I do feel like I think we're good now. Oh, hi,
The music.
we have our December edition of Chippy Chicks tonight. I'm going to be hosting. I am oopsies.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I was like, wait. So the old league used Twitch before, and I remember there was like a really great fan experience because we could all talk to each other. So I did like that aspect of it, but I feel like people don't like this is like the general like a lot of fans are like not happy about this change, and one of the speculations is that Twitch is owned by Amazon and their Tuesday night games are on Amazon Prime. So a lot of people, I've seen some speculation. I went through some Reddit pages and they're like, I think maybe they have a deal brewing with Amazon and that's why the switch happened and they can't say anything, which is an interesting theory. I don't know how you guys feel. I want to ask Stacey specifically first because I know that you kind of had the ex you might have had the experience watching on Twitch with the old league. What do you feel like? Does it feel like they're going backwards?
Well, it's interesting because this is a league that tries to pretend the last league didn't exist at all. So, like, going to Twitch and kind of not really explaining why is kind of a fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing they already stopped the games on YouTube in Canada,
Hmm.
because they have national broadcasting. And I know there's a lot of like the local broadcasting in the United States is still in effect, and that YouTube had been serving as like the national kind of substitute for broadcasting here. It would be an interesting thing to see if like all of a sudden you get national coverage through Prime in the United States.
Hmm.
That'll be interesting to see. Um, I love the fact that I get to that MSG, which has been a strong supporter of women's hockey from the beginning, like from the last league as well. So it's kind of nice to see that here too. But yeah, it's as I said, it's an interesting. The bottom line is that going to Twitch is an interesting situation for a league that likes to forget history.
Right. Does anyone have any other thoughts?
I did not know that Amazon owns Twitch.
I
So
didn't either until I read the article,
yeah,
but I'm not surprised because they own a lot of
yeah,
things.
yeah, right. Pretty soon the whole world. Um, but I mean, for me, it's like I'm not going to be on Twitch.
Right.
Like I'm an old lady. I think that's one of the concerns too, is like Twitch is a much younger audience. Well, a concern, is it a concern or a benefit? I don't know. But if they're trying to reach a wide audience, that's
Hmm.
and mostly men, right? Like that
Right.
seems odd too. I mean, I guess they want to appeal to men and have more men viewers, but
It does seem like an Amazon kind of decision because I think like
yeah,
MLS was going through this thing this year because they took the games off TV here in Canada, the soccer, and they put them on Apple TV.
Hmm.
So like a lot of people aren't on Apple TV, and so they couldn't see the games
yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
So I think whenever you go from a bigger thing to a smaller thing, I think it's a concern that you're not going to reach as many fans. But I think in Canada it's different. I think we can see the PWHL games on
Yeah.
the different networks here. So
Yes, right, right, right. Yeah.
I heard a little inkling that TSN is going to be sold because I think the TV deal is up. And I only saw it very briefly once. And I heard somebody talking about it. So I don't know if that has anything to play into this.
Sold to who?
I don't know. Just because because they don't have a lot of the rights, they're not showing games. The games are all over the place this year. And then I didn't look any more into it. But I just think well, I guess it'll be interesting to see what happens with the TV deals.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's
It
kind
is.
of weird though, because I don't think you sell a network without like you just announce it and you buy it. I don't think you tell people ahead of time we
No,
might sell
yeah,
this
I
network.
think it's like a very premature. Because I didn't see it again after, because that would have been huge.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's true that the games are all over the place. Like trying to
But
figure out where you can watch them and what you can watch, and in the fan groups on Facebook, well, there's only been one so far for the Jets, but the Amazon, the night that it was on Amazon, so many people are complaining because they don't have Amazon Prime, and I don't know.
yeah. I think TSN has all the PWHL games here. I'm just reading.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's also on the CBC too, and CBC Gem. So I don't know how it works. And then it's on the RDS, the French network too, the Montreal games.
Yeah, lots of ways to watch them.
Mhm.
Here, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Usually it's the other way around. We want to see
Yeah.
stuff
Right?
in the US and we can't see it. We're like, oh, we need like those hidden VPNs or whatever so you can see them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the games that are on Prime are not on Prime here. You have to have NHL at network.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Because there's
what?
been a couple
think
games
it's- yeah.
that have been like they're on NHL network only. And I'm like,
Oh,
but like not a lot of people have that, and that's usually like a bigger package with your cable too.
right.
So kind of
Yeah.
like, don't love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just think it's kind of odd.
Yeah.
Like for them to go back when they weren't doing that before. Like if they started last year there, I thought it would have made sense because that's where the old league was and maybe, whatever. And I feel like I had heard some international people say that the move from Twitch made it harder for them. So for some people it might be less inaccessible now that they're on Twitch, but for some people it might be more accessible. So I don't really know.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I think this league needs just a better PR person. I think they need to communicate these things to their fans a little bit better. And like they seem to get pissy when people make these complaints, but I think these are really valid criticisms of a new league.
Totally, yeah.
If you want people to be a fan of your league and you're like doing all these things and not like really, people are like, well, where do I watch the game? What do I do? Like that sort of thing. That's not like helping grow the league there. So it's just something interesting to watch, and I'd be interested to see if we see some news about a TV deal come down the line or not.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. Like, we don't have in the United States, there is not a national TV deal. It's very
Yeah.
localized, it's very like
Right.
specific for the teams for the markets that have teams. New England is doing it, Minnesota has it, and MSG each have regular games for the teams. And they're doing the same thing with the broadcasters, like the team whose home it is gets the broadcasters basically.
Mhm.
Well, I think it's hard for fans because you say, okay, I'll buy this one package to watch my team, but then if you have to buy like another package to watch the Monday night games and something else, it just gets ridiculous.
Right. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I agree. So that's what we have about the PWHL right now. We'll see what happens. I wanted to move to our team check-ins. I wanted to pick on Stacy a little bit first because I originally had this as our first topic, but I was like, let's move this to our team check-ins because as it relates to Stacy, because I saw this news and I was like, what? Like I was very confused about Truba getting traded. So Stacey, you want to take it?
So basically the Rangers are in free fall right now. It goes back to a situation like people constantly are pointing to what happened with Barclay Goodrow over the summer. Where basically he was waived specifically and it was made an arrangement where like San Jose would pick him up. So he was put on waivers and immediately he went to San Jose and that's where he is and he's happily playing for them right now. But not happily playing for them, he was not happy about the whole situation because that was the way they went around the no trade clause. And there was a lot of conversation about how this went into the locker room. The next person, of course, over the summer on the trading block was very, very clearly Jacob Trouba. And he was, the reason it was a potentially a hockey trade. It was a business trade because he was not playing as well on defense, generally speaking. But the thing was, his wife is a doctor. She's going through a residency in New York, and they have a very young child. He did not want to leave until the residency was up, which fair dues to him. And he's got like 20 million, he had a very tight no trade clause. He's a great representative off the ice. I think he was a fantastic captain off the ice, but his on ice play has suffered. And so they calmed down. They were like, okay, this is my last season in New York. I'm going to make it count. Comes in and the team has basically been in free fall for a while. Like we were winning for a little bit and then all of a sudden we were not. And it has been a consistent disaster of a whole bunch of things, a whole bunch of different circumstances. And the first dice to fall was very similarly like with Barclay Goodrow. Jacob Trouba was threatened with, in essence, basically told that we're going to waive you specifically, and it ended up that he was traded to Anaheim. I don't know what happened behind the scenes that went from waiving to trading, but that's what happened. I am, and the team is still a mess. We're still in free fall. We got our goalie, which is good, but everybody it's a free fall. It's not going well. I think that there is a line between business decisions and the kind of business decisions that play with players' heads psychologically. There's a reason why players have no movement, no trade clause in contracts.
Okay, but there is one thing though that they said about this contract, and that was that there is a difference between a no move and a no trade. So no trade means you can specify the teams, and so if you're saying, well, I'm not going to specify the teams that allow you to trade me, that's when general managers who are strapped by the so, and I think Shesterkin got a no move.
Yes, because
he could see what's going on. And he says, well, that's not going to happen to me. So, but the thing is, if you take a no trade instead of a no move, you are getting money for it. Do you know what I mean? Like you're saying, okay, we're going to go back and forth and compromise, and I'll take more money instead of getting a no move. So it is a decision, and it's pretty hard. Like when did he sign the contract? When he was what, 25 or whatever? And you don't think, oh, there's going to be time when I'm over the hill in a few years. Like you're not thinking that. But so, I mean, I totally agree that it's really hard on the players, but I do think because of the salary cap, the GMs don't have a choice.
It's hard. And the thing is, like, it's Goodrow and then Trouba. And so again, like for good hockey reasons, good on ice reasons, but like, now what? What's going on in the locker room? My sneaky suspicion is that the next thing that's going to happen is the coach is going to go, because I think
that's usually what happens.
If Laviolette can't pull the team back, like I'd honestly, like to see Michael Pekka get a chance to coach. I think he's doing a really good job as an assistant, But unfortunately, as we know, with Chuck Knobloch going instead of from Hartford to the big club, getting poached by not poached, but like going to Edmonton, because it seemed like the Rangers were not going to give him a chance. The Rangers don't have a good record at hiring assistants as coaches for an extended period of time. So I don't know what will happen. I am kind of concerned about rumors, but I don't want to speak them into existence. In regards to former coaches that do not deserve to be back in the league for a whole bunch of different reasons. But yeah, it's a free fall, it's a mess, and I would very much like to see it fixed. But who knows if it's going
Sorry.
to
Talk about it.
you know, I'm just kind of like in general state of hockey agony for the Rangers hockey agony specifically.
Fair.
It's so hard as a fan when that happens, right? Because it's so frustrating. There's nothing you can do but
No.
like get it together, guys.
Exactly, like figure your stuff out. Like everybody needs to see the psychiatrist that this poor psychiatrist that helped Chris Kreider deal with his set of anxieties. Like that would be great, but you know, all I can do is kind of hope and hope for a Hanukkah miracle, as it were.
But it's really, I mean, it is interesting how much is psychological, right?
Yeah.
Like, how can the whole team not be playing well at the same time?
Yeah, it's
And we just talked about this. They won the President's Trophy last year,
Yep.
and they
I mean,
not able to beat Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, we couldn't beat Chicago. We got slammed by LA, and we're losing to St. Louis as we speak, literally.
Jeez.
We beat Montreal. That was about it. Like, great.
Oh, we just lost to St. Louis too. They have a new coach and they're going.
Oh, that's yes. But it's like, it's awful. It's painful. Someone else should go and like share some great news. I want to hear some hockey joy, because I know some of you guys have had like long suffering times with your teams and are now getting perfect joy out of them. So
Kelly, you go
Is that a
then.
cue for Kelly or who is it?
Yeah.
Kelly or you or Fortune or
Well, so the Jets they finally did lose some games after their record-setting winning streak. So, but I mean, it had to happen, right? At some point. And they did, I think they lost a few in a row. So we've got a few injuries now, which is again bound to happen at some point. So, you know, Ehlers is out and he's a pretty key player. And Dylan Sandberg is out. He's a good defenseman. So, I mean, that happens. But they've still won enough that they are back in first place in the league, so only by 1 point or something, but still. So I mean they're still doing well. I went to 2 games in the last month, I think.
Awesome.
Well, yeah, I went to see 2 live games. I was there last night. Super fun to watch them. Both were really good games, like lots to cheer for. It's fun to watch them. So, yeah, things are going okay still.
Are they selling out now?
Last night's game was sold out. Oh, it's so frustrating, you know. Last night was against Montreal. Like half the arena was full of people with Habs jerseys on. Oh my God.
Same. I think it happens across Canada.
I guess so. I don't know. And every time the Habs scored, or how many times did they score? Anyway, it was like, you know, where you're in Montreal, it's so loud. And I was like, I do not like that. But we won. So that's okay. Yeah, they sold out last night, and I think they sold out the last game I was there, which was against the Panthers. And that was kind of fun because it was Paul Maurice that was there again, and I like him. I think he got a big cheer. I think a lot of people still like him. And we beat them too, so that was good.
We like you, but we like to beat you too.
Yeah, exactly. And then Paul Maurice is like backtracking on his little statement last year when he won the Stanley Cup. I want the Jets to win the next Stanley Cup. He's like, no, I didn't say the next Stanley Cup. A Stanley Cup.
Maybe you spoke it into existence.
Anyway, things are going okay.
I can go. The Flames have been losing a lot. But they did snap the losing streak. I can say, but in non-hockey news, which is all great stuff happening in Calgary right now, which so the first thing is that I don't have written here. The new arena got its development permit late on Friday night, so that's going to go ahead now. And maybe we're not allowed to watch hockey on TV because they have to pay for the new arena. Um, and then the Johnny Gaudreau tribute. So all the stuff that was brought, the jerseys were made into quilts and auctioned off. The sticks that were donated were all made into benches and they got distributed to all the community arenas, which is really cool. The Gatorade bottles, they emptied them out and donated all the bottles to Kids Sport, which came out to like some kind of ridiculous number. I don't have it on here at the moment. And then when Columbus came to Calgary, they all wore Gaudreau jerseys for the warm up, and those are all being auctioned. And then it was really sweet because his dad was there, and he was like the player of the game, and his kid was there, so it was a really big like love fest. So I love that. Calgary did win that one game.
That's really nice about that Goodrow stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad something good is coming out of like the shitty season. So yeah.
Well, I don't have joy. Like, there's been a lot of weird things. So I guess the good news would be Thatcher Demko, our goalie, started playing again, and because he was out since the since the playoffs, and he had a really weird injury of the popliteus, which is like a tiny muscle. I know it's a tiny muscle nobody's heard of, and nobody in the NHL has ever had this injury before.
Wow.
So we'll see how it goes. But the other thing I think is kind of interesting is that JT Miller took a break, didn't play for like, I don't know, a couple of weeks. And nobody knows exactly why. But there's a suspicion that not that it's mental health. Well, obviously it's a mental health thing, but it's also that there might be tension within the room. So that's what Elliot Friedman said on his podcast, although he's kind of couched it. But I don't know. At first I just thought, well, if it's mental health, that's great. He should take off the time. But if it's like a room tension, then that's maybe a bit more serious. But the Canucks have been pretty disjointed this season, like playing really well and then playing really poorly. And they've had this really weird thing where they haven't won at home. They win on the road all the time. So it's like, oh, should we like fool them and they can stay in a hotel and wear the wrong jerseys, like, and make them think they're on the road all the time because they play so well out there. And everyone's like, I don't understand why this could be. Like, it doesn't make any sense at all. So anyway, so obviously that's not the best for selling tickets. Like, oh, as soon as we come home, we're gonna lose. And not only that, like lose really badly, but like our last game. But anyway, JT Miller's back now, and Demko's back, and our best right side D is out for a couple of Hronik is out for a couple of months. So it's just, but you know what? I'm trying to like roll with it and not get upset because they're still in playoff position, and I think it'll be okay, hopefully. I guess because as to what Stacy said, like we have a lot of faith in the management team that we have right now. So you kind of feel good that they'll address these things as we go. So, but it's like when you start to question the management team, as we did for what, 8 years here, that it's hard because you don't think it'll be a good outcome.
So the Flyers, I feel like, are in a similar place where the Canucks are, where like they play really well and then they play terrible, or they just like have had so many overtime games and then they lose in overtime. Like they've had a ton of that. So it's like, at least we got the point. So when I first started the agenda, I was like, the only thing positive I have for the Flyers is that our rookie was the first rookie to reach 25 points, which is really cool and interesting. And then Scott Laughton had a hat trick and scored 4 goals. And I was like, what? And like he even tried to not score that fourth goal. He like tried to pass it to Hathaway and Hathaway like passed it back to him. He's like, no, like you could score. And I think that's indicative of like the type of player that Lawton is. Like he's kind of like a team player. So that was fun and interesting. And then we lost really terribly. So it was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here, but like, so it's kind of hard. Like we'll have really good games and then it'll just be typical Flyers stuff. So it's like, I don't know. And I'll be against like teams that we don't really play too. Like we just lost like really badly to Wild, and it's like, okay, well, like why? Like we don't really play them a lot. They're not in our division, but it just seems like that keeps on happening. Like, I don't know.
The Wild are really good this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think, are they
Yeah,
tied with Winnipeg for like top in the Central or whatever?
Not right now, but I think they were ahead for a little bit.
Yeah, I was
I think
surprised
it's
because
close.
Winnipeg won so many games. I thought, how did Minnesota get ahead?
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with the Flyers.
Yeah.
Okay, I think
Mitchkov was on social media for signing an autograph in the tunnel, right? Because he was getting kicked out of the game or something.
What?
Okay, so I think we can move on to wildest things. And I want to start, and I want to preface it's like I posted this thing on Blue Sky and then also on TikTok about how like my favorite thing as hockey fans is the bit that we do where we see something funny or dumb or just like weird on the ice and we just say the beautiful game because it's just like
Yeah.
what is that? And I saw last night like a video on my TikTok scrolling from the NHL and it was very comical and made me think of that. And I didn't know what's happening, so I had to go look up like what just happened. And it was just like Austin Matthews basically like getting dragged by his other player
Oh
back to
yeah.
the bench.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was just indicative of that sort of moment. And then I looked it up and like, they were doing a normal play and the puck hit his skate and it just flew off. Like the blade just
Blade.
flew off his
Oh
skate.
my God.
And he said he knew something was wrong because he went to like plant his foot down and
Yeah.
he's like, oh no, and he went into the boards. So he just so that was the beautiful game moment. But if you've seen the video, it does look very comical.
That is a good one. Like I always find it hilarious how helpless they are
I know.
when they lose a blade, right? Like they just can't.
They don't know what to do.
I know you say that, but like the hockey ice is like special ice.
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize. I only like found out. Yeah,
easily.
I didn't realize until a couple of years ago that like I was getting on an ice rink and I was like, God, why is that like this is so nice? It's so smooth. And my Sean was like, yeah, because it's like a special thing. It's not just like ice and water, it's not just like frozen water. I was
Yeah.
like, all right. But yeah, it's pretty fancy. Fancy hockey ice, professional ice.
That was a good one with him being pushed.
It was just very comical. Like, oh my God, I gotta talk about that one.
Yeah.
All right, who wants to go next?
I can go. I can talk about the Gordie Howe hat trick that the Jets had a little while back, which was okay. So a Gordie Howe hat trick is not that wild of a thing because it does happen sometimes. For anybody listening, I'm sure everybody knows what a Gordie Howe hat trick is, but just in case, it's when a game where a player gets a goal, an assist, and a fight all in the same game. So it happened for the Jets, and it was Kyle Connor, which is actually kind of the funny part because he's our top goal scorer. So he gets a goal, of course. He gets an assist, of course. But then he gets in a fight. He's never been in a fight in his life. He's the Lady Bing winner, which is for skill and sportsmanship, like the guys that don't fight and don't get penalties. And they were playing the Penguins, and who he got in a fight with was Sidney Crosby.
Oh my God.
Oh my
That was really
gosh.
funny.
So that was hilarious.
Were
Like
they
that,
really throwing them or was it kind of
yes.
slap
And
fight?
Connor took Crosby right to the ice.
Oh my God.
I think Crosby's getting up there.
It was
I was
amazing.
surprised Crosby fighting though. Like
I know, right? Like what the hell?
it must have made him really mad.
Yes, they were frustrated, I think, but
I have another beautiful sport one. It actually says, this is the last line, nothing shall talk you like a line brawl silhouetted by stuffed animals falling from the sky. What a beautiful
Oh yeah.
sport. So this was at an Ottawa 67s game. And they were having the teddy bear toss. So that's like everyone brings teddy bears and they get swept up and donated to usually the local children's hospital. But yeah, this was last week, Ottawa 67's game, where there was a big fight during the teddy bear toss. And this one was on Sports Illustrated. So it really made a thing. And that's my wildest thing because, well, like in terms of hockey, probably not the wildest thing, but in terms of like real life, probably a wild thing.
So like, I'm always looking for joy, right? Always, always, always in the like wildest of circumstances, even as my hockey team is in free fall. And so I'm minding my own business and watching and making my way through the Rangers Sabres game, which was nationally televised in the United States on TNT. And generally speaking, I don't really watch the intermission report so much unless Henrik Lundqvist is on, because I mean, 90% of the time it's going to drive me bananas. But so intermission report is happening and I'm looking through it and it's the holiday set. And I'm like, okay, I see the Christmas tree. And then I look down and I absolutely lose my freaking mind. Because of course, like, you know, a couple of days ago, I saw news about the Devils Jewish Heritage Night, and they showed a rabbi making a menorah out of hockey sticks. Table is for later. But I look down and what do I see? But I see in the middle of all of this other stuff, I see two menorahs and I absolutely lose my freaking mind. It is the first time I've ever seen menorahs included like that in a holiday set on a hockey show. So there we go. So it's wild, it's a miracle, it's joy and happiness all in one place. So there we go. And I've circled the menorahs because from my screenshot of the television, I literally took a picture of the television. Because I was like, wait a second, what? What is this? And there we go. So in TNT, we have menorahs in the holiday set.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, my wildest thing was last weekend. Taylor Swift did the last 3 shows of her world tour here in Vancouver. So they had lots of social media of showing like it was a Canucks game that night. So all the Canucks fans in their jerseys and jeans and all the Taylor Swift fans with the glitter going in there sort of
That's
crossing each other. But what was really funny was what happened with the teams. So we played Columbus that night, and Columbus could not get a hotel room because all the Taylor Swift fans, all the
Oh my
hotels
God.
jacked up their prices. So they had to fly to Winnipeg and they got in at 4 in the morning. But the same thing for the next 2 teams coming in, which was, I think, the Panthers and maybe the Lightning. Like they had to stay in Edmonton and practice there because they couldn't get hotel rooms here. So everybody was just coming in at the last minute. Because
That's
Surprising to
crazy.
me.
I know, so like they got to Winnipeg so late, they were like, oh yeah, apparently Columbus couldn't get any hotel rooms, so they're leaving after the game.
I would have
So it put
figured,
off everyone's schedule.
That
yeah,
is
I would have
wild.
figured their travel team books ahead of time, but I guess
Yeah,
they
exactly.
didn't.
Yeah.
You know, because
Yeah,
the
but
schedule's a schedule.
She sold the tickets a year ago,
Yeah,
and they
like
get the
for a year.
schedule before that far ahead. They get the schedule,
Oh,
I think,
That's
the
true.
Taylor
in the
Swift
summer.
concert was scheduled before
So
the
yeah, the Taylor
Yes.
Swift
Oh,
was,
For the
and then
NHL. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
so
it's like, you know.
that's
whoa.
anyway, I thought that was funny because they had the hockey.
I actually talked about the Blues running into that trouble on the Rangers game tonight. Because apparently when the Blues played the Canucks, they couldn't, again, they too could not get a hotel.
Yeah.
So they came in later and then came back later
Mhm.
to St. Louis. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have time to talk about a couple other wild things? I think
I
we have
think so.
Yeah.
We can.
because I was having a hard time deciding which I was going to talk about because there was also the news, what was it, a couple weeks back that Paul Bissonnette
Yeah.
aka Biznasty had been involved in some kind of a bar fight. Of course, I immediately think the worst. I think like he was being an asshole in the bar or something, and some people beat him up. I don't know, whatever. he ended up in the hospital, actually. He was hurt so bad, but it turned out that he was actually standing up for, I think it was the restaurant owner.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
The
And
bar
like,
owner, yeah.
the bar owner, and the guy, like these guys were like drunk and being jerks, and Bissonnette stands up, to try to, deal with it and take care of them and help the bar owner out, and gets beat up for his actions. Was not exactly what I expected.
Yeah, I was looking at Stacy's picture to see if he was injured in that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
He
funny.
also a ton of like makeup probably put on him to like cover whatever.
Maybe so.
Probably.
Do you know how, like, what his injuries were? Because he got out right after I heard it. I don't
Yeah, I
think
don't think he was in the hospital long. I don't know what his injuries were. It was kind of funny that it was not at all what I expected when I first read
Yeah.
that.
No way. Yeah,
Yeah.
listening to him on the intermission show, I would absolutely think otherwise. And then
Yes.
yeah.
it's funny
And they-
because he's been
Sorry,
on
go
Hockey
ahead.
Night in Canada a little bit.
Yeah.
But then he has to, like, you can see himself because he doesn't swear or anything on Hockey Night. I guess they asked him not to. Could you
Trying
please
to
stop,
censor
like,
himself.
censoring him? Oh, I mean, yeah.
He has a very strong personality.
He does.
And he can be funny.
Hilarious.
And the other thing that happened that was wild was, what was the dude's name? I don't know him.
From the
Radic
Blues.
Faxi, yes, from the Blues. So he got a lower body injury, and immediately, like as soon as it happened, he like zipped off the ice, like as speedy as you've ever seen anybody, and was like running down the tunnel. And I guess later on, the coach said that it was he took a skate to the groin and like said it could have been worse. I said it could have been a lot worse because apparently it was very close to actually cutting off his penis, which is actually the headline in the Toronto Sun about it, which NHL player narrowly avoids having penis cut by skate in scary incident. Like, holy moly. Sometimes they get a puck in that sensitive region,
Yeah.
It's funny because
and that's always
you
bad
said
to
that, I
watch,
thought,
but
oh, that's interesting. But I watched that game and I had no idea.
it
Because
was a
it
skate
was in the
play.
Canucks St. Louis game. And I saw
Was
it
it?
off the ice, but they
Oh.
didn't say anything. And I didn't like notice anything. And nobody was making a big deal out of it. It wasn't until after, I guess, when the
Yeah.
coach said what happened.
I think it was
Yeah.
in the post-game presser because I think his exact quote was like, "I'm not a doctor, but it was close to his privates" or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I was explaining to my fiance, like, because I was telling him about this, like, this is like just like such a wild thing that happened, and he's like, "Are you sure?" Like, because the first thing I said it was cut off, and I was like, "I
Oh
don't
yeah.
think that's
Yeah,
true."
yeah. That's right.
I was like, "Let me do some research to find out." So I was like,
That's
giving
right.
me.
I did see something on social media, and that's what I
I
thought
was
too.
like,
Was
wait a
cut off.
second. Like, and I was saying, I'm like, sometimes they don't tell us the injury. They'll just be like, oh, he has a lower body injury. And you're
Yeah,
like, what is
yeah.
that? But this time they like told us too much information.
Yes,
So
exactly.
something happened to Minnesota Wild player too. Didn't he like
Not even Duke.
a puck to the
Yeah.
testicles? And it was really, really
Yes,
painful.
I think that, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
hearing about somebody this year that happened to, because I remember it happened to Blake Wheeler a couple of seasons ago when he was still with the Jets, that he actually took a puck there and ruptured a testicle.
Yeah, I think that's the same thing that happened in Minnesota.
I think
Yeah.
we
Of course,
talked
the
about
players aren't saying it. They're helping the team, and coaches are telling us all these
Yeah.
things.
Zuccarello, I think
I feel like
Zuccarello was interviewed by someone recently he said, like, after what happened, because the player that it happened to was him, and he said something like, after the head injury and this, I step out of the way and let everybody else, play, in the dirty area.
Oh my God.
Like a quote I saw tonight,
Right?
like from some Ranger commentator, and I was. So
I've
this
heard
is
goalies say that.
also during his time in New York, had a very severe injury, had a very severe head injury, it turned out. And that no one actually knew the severity at the time.
Hmm.
it was really, really bad. Like he had to relearn to speak. So
Oh.
Okay, well, there's our wild things for this.
We go ahead.
Well, things, Kelly.
All right, so I think we can move on to the style report.
Oh shoot, I don't even remember who I sent.
Oh my God.
I didn't pick the Flyers this time because they were just so boring. And then I saw someone shared this in one of the hockey groups I'm in, like the hockey romance groups. The Colorado Avalanche did a
I saw
series
that.
of these photos, like department store, like awkward, like Christmas
Yeah.
photos. And they just are really funny. Like this is not even the most funny one, but I was like, oh, everyone knows who Cal McGar is. I guess they had these sweaters and made them all put them on because they were all wearing like the same ones.
But with their
So
shorts.
I thought that was it. Yeah, in the shorts too. Because you know,
And the
like,
slides. This is my favorite picture I've ever seen.
amazing.
it's just so funny. So there you go. That's what I picked this month. Okay. I think Kelly, this was your pick.
Curious. Am I next?
Yeah, go.
Mine is just ordinary and boring. It's just the team captain wearing a nice suit. I got nothing even to say about it. Mondetta, it's like the sponsored by Mondetta thing with their new flashy background walking into the arena. I think he looks good. He's got a hat on because, it's been cold here in Winnipeg. That's about all I can say. It's been
Okay.
fucking cold here in Winnipeg. Sorry.
Yeah.
So my pick, well, here's my joy, Stacey. Like I haven't talked about him yet, but Kiefer Sherwood joined our team from he was at Nashville previously, and I think he also played for the Ducks. So here he is, looking very stylish with the
Mhm.
European scarf, but he is half Japanese. So I am really excited
Oh,
to
yeah.
have him. He has been an awesome player. They signed him, and he is leading the league in hits. He's one of those guys that's really out there, instigating and really using his body to get the puck, not just to hit people. And
Yeah.
he started out, he was on an awesome third line, but he's currently playing on a top line with Pedersen and Elias Pedersen and Jake DeBrusk. So, and they've been pretty good together. He was actually interviewed on After Hours last night after the game, and he turns out to be kind of like quite quiet and soft-spoken, despite all the hits, because they're asking him about, oh, you're doing all this. He's using all the cliches, like, I just want to get in there. And, and he was also very Vancouver. He was talking about sort of visualizing like to be the best player and to improve and everything. So anyway, he's already a fan favorite, and I'm super happy. And of course, just to tie things back, there was a scene at one of the games where this girl, who I presume is like a teenage Japanese girl, is holding a sign that says, Kiefer Sherwood is my Taylor Swift.
That's funny.
So anyway, I'm pretty happy because we did have a half Japanese guy last season, but he didn't really make the team. He's still playing in our minors. So it's great to have somebody on board like that. Oh, also, I just wanted to say one thing that's sort of funny is that his mom works in marketing for Victoria's Secret. And so I thought, God, if that is not a hockey romance plot right there, I don't know what.
You love it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Where's he from?
I think he's from Columbus. They interviewed him
okay.
last night. They said he's one of the first, when Columbus started a team there and they started a program and got kids interested, he's one of the first crop of top players to come out
That's
of
cool.
That's
and
awesome.
his brother plays
Cool.
as well.
Cool.
I love that for hockey.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start the top right with Martin
right.
Prospicil.
Okay.
Yeah, because every time they've been doing like the highlight outfits the last couple of years, and now they've got sponsors. I was like, God, I wonder if like these guys feel pressured to like look good now. And so Martin Prospicil, if you go back to any picture before this season, long hair, scruffy beard, like looked like he just tossed on jeans in the first shirt he found, but now he's looking fine. I'm really enjoying this like cream colored beige. It was like out of everybody, I was like, you know what, he looks good. And then I was like, who is this guy? So I'm like doing some research. I'm like, oh, he completely looks different. It's like he definitely somebody definitely like told him that he should probably dress up a little bit. But he looks good. Like
Yeah.
that was Martin Prospicil. And then so the I still Stacey gave me her spot for an honorable mention, and this is Ryan Lomberg. So he played and won with the Panthers last year, but now he's in Calgary, and Calgary gave him like a whole team dinner to present his ring, his like Stanley Cup ring, which is freaking like this big, like it's so big. I don't know if I sent you guys the video, but like if you go to the Calgary Flames like Instagram, you can see the video. It's really cute. And this is an old photo from when he was still obviously with the Panthers. But yeah, isn't this the cutest thing?
That is adorable.
That's great.
Oh,
Yeah.
The little matching suit. I love it.
Put
It's
his
really
eye
cute.
on his son has a
Yeah.
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 So and the thing is, like, I've been seeing him, and I didn't really know who he was, like, but he's always makes the list when like every game. So I'm glad this is my introduction to him, like my formal introduction to him.
Love it.
Mhm.
All right. Okay, and I think we're almost at time, but I think we have time for any book promos. I think, Kelly, you have a hockey book coming out in
I
January?
do have a hockey book coming out January 12th. So that'll be before our next live stream. Crossing the line here, I'll share the cover. Again, I think I did it last time, but there's the cover. Crossing the line, I'm supposed to be getting my paperback copies in the mail, but they have not arrived because Canada Post is on strike.
Mm.
Anyway, so that's that. That's coming out, what did I say, January 12th. So I'm excited about that.
Did you tell us the plot? Did you tell us the plot of this one yet?
This is okay. No, wait, I have to think because I'm like right in the middle of the next book. I'm deeply into the next story. So we have a very shy hockey player who has a chance to be made captain of the team, and they tell him he needs to get more involved with the community and get involved with the charity and do more public speaking. And he's like, well, I'd rather play hockey naked than do that. But he wants to be captain because he knows he can make the team better. And he then asks his roommate and teammate, his little sister, who's very bubbly and outgoing, to give him lessons in how to be an extrovert. And of course, stuff happens.
Do they get really grumpy at one point when there's like too much stuff is happening and they just
Yeah.
Nice. I like
Oh
it.
yeah, and he needs to be alone, and
She's like, what's wrong with you? And
well, I mean, that's really what the whole book is about, is being able to accept yourself for who you are and be yourself. And there's nothing wrong with being introverted in an extrovert world.
Oh, it sounds great.
And while I'm talking, I have it. Oh, I have the book here because it's Christmas. I just thought I'd remind everybody that I have a Christmas hockey book.
Yeah,
Merry fucking Christmas.
excellent book.
it's really good.
And Stacy has some news about her
Yeah.
book.
Did you have one?
this is
Oh, can't see it. There.
Every face.
Yeah, put it in front of your
There we
face.
go.
Right over your face. Yeah, there we go.
This is The Dreidel Disaster. It arrived into this world on the 5th of December of this month. This is the story that was inspired by the Capitals menorah made out of sticks from the Stanley Cup victory in 2018. I had wanted to write this book for a long time, and it finally happened. It is the story of a small town mayor and a fixer working for an MHL team, trying to bring the Hanukkah event cycle that the team is partnering with the town with, to get it back on track. And it is fun. It's full of shenanigans. It's got front office fun and a little bit of hockey and Hanukkah kind of all mixed together. I say that this book is also hockey adjacent. There is no hockey played, and no hockey players were harmed in the writing of this book.
I'd also like to point out that Stacy's book is in Women's First books to read, Hanukkah books to read during this. Yeah,
That's great.
so it's
I
just
didn't know that.
yeah. We just found, I don't know when Stacy found out, but I just found out today. She's in Women's First for this book. So congratulations, Stacy.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you.
It is. Oh,
It's unexpected, so I'm like,
Yeah.
See, you got some joy today after all.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, and I know like Stacy always like writes the books of her heart. So it's like it's nice to see, and she fights for these books. So it's nice to see them like people recognizing them.
Yeah.
I have a Christmas book too. I don't have it here. It's like in the closet and everything.
Oh.
My Christmas charade, so it has a lot of Christmas in it. Unlike my Halloween book, which doesn't have much Halloween in it. So what about you, Danica? Do you have any book news?
I
thought you
announced
had,
it
like, Your
today.
secret project, isn't it out now?
Yeah, I announced it today because I just told
Oh.
people, please don't download the old version, but if you want to, you can. I re-edited my first book, so I'm gonna, because I rewrote the book word for word, like literally went word for word and rewrote every single word.
Wow, the whole book?
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Really?
Why did you
Yeah.
do that?
Because it needed to be done like structured, like the way I wrote the sentences, like I literally just enter and rewrote them. Like, yeah, and I like cut a bunch of scenes, changed scenes, added, tried to punch up the steaminess of it because there is like a huge difference between my first book and my second book. Like in terms of the steam, it almost doesn't feel like it fits with the series. And then like had my editor who's done all of the other books except for that one finally edited this one. So I think it's in a much better place, but so because I did all of that, I have to unpublish the current version and publish a new, like a second edition because more than 30% of the book is changed. So like that's why I was like telling people like, hey, I'm gonna be unpublishing this like probably sometime in the new year, but you'll be getting a new version that hopefully is much better. I when I wrote the last book in the series, that couple are in it a lot because it's like Noah's little sister is the heroine in that last book. So I felt like they were screaming at me that I really needed to fix that book. And it's something I had been wanting to do for like years, but it was like one of those things where it's like, do I spend time doing this or do I write other books and like put out other books? So it was like it was one of those things where like I've had wanted to be doing it, but it's just like I don't really want to deal with this right now, so I'm just going to ignore it. But once I finished the series, I like couldn't ignore it anymore. Because the thought of like boxing up the series and putting that book, I just don't want to. So I was like, okay, I have to deal with this now. So that was an unexpected project. So it kind of like it was kind of painful to do, but I'm glad we did it. So hopefully it's a better read for people. So that's all I got. I have another book coming out like later in the year, but that's not hockey.
But it is interesting, like, when you look at your old books and you think, oh, I'd like to change this, like, should you change it or not? Because I've heard some authors say, I never change anything. And I've heard other authors say, I change everything.
Yeah, like
I actually unpublished a couple of my first books just because they were so bad and I don't think I could have rewritten them.
yeah,
really?
so at first when I did it, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in and like clean things up. But as I was doing it, I'm like, there's so much I want to change. And since I'm editing it anyway, let's just change it. So
That's
like,
a major project.
yeah, so I was like, well, it's gonna go back to my editor anyway, so I'm gonna change all these weird things that like just don't make sense and like change up like some other things. So yeah.
And so are you gonna like relaunch it or?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do like arcs or anything. I'm just gonna like hit publish and then just tell people here it's the new version.
Yeah.
So, but I just want it like because some people might want the old version. So I know like one of my critique partners wants to give the older version to her daughter to let her daughter read it. Um, I was like, she's like, before I get the new version, I was like, okay. Like I kind of understood her reasonings for that because it was like my lowest Steam book compared to my
Right.
so like I think that's why. So I was like, if you want it now, I guess it's a collectible, not really, but not that big. But like, I just wanted to like I'm very transparent with my readers about like what's going on with me and that sort of stuff. So I just like wanted to announce it to people. Also, I know people were wondering, like, what is she talking about? Why does she keep talking about this, like, secret project? So,
Yeah, I was wondering.
I know. You try to get me saying, I'm like, oh, I'm just, like, re-editing something.
Well, when it's the first book in this series, you kind of like you can't just unpublish it and let like I
I
did.
know. And, like, because they are so, like, in my editor, I didn't start working with them until book two. I only got, like, copy edits done on the first book because I was like, no, I didn't know what I was doing. Still don't think I do. But when I finally approached them about they were like, "Oh, I love Dinah. Like, I can't wait to do this because they are so integral to the rest of the series. So I really couldn't just unpublish it. It was like deal with
Yeah.
it or just leave it. So yeah,
Yeah,
Oh, that's awesome. Good for you to do that.
I
That's
think that's brave, yeah.
yeah.
I don't recommend doing it.
Oh yeah.
It was a lot. It was like, oh no, now I have to do this. It took up like way more time. So I didn't finish a draft of something I was like hoping to finish because it took a long time to do this. So yeah.
Good.
Well, that's all we got, guys.
Yeah,
Okay. Wow, we
So
did not decide
yeah,
on our next date, but I guess it'll be in January. Oh my
yeah,
God, it'll be a new year.
I know.
That's crazy.
yeah. I don't even have my calendar yet. It's like,
I
it's
have a
We have the 19th, I think, is the third.
yeah. I think that's probably what we would do. Yeah.
Yeah.
probably the 19th.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
aim
But we
for
do
that.
usually post it in our
Yes.
Okay, cool.
stories of the thing and
Yeah.
on the YouTube channel, so you can see.
So Merry Christmas, all of you. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year.
We'll see y'all soon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see you next year.
Hockey.